I'm Amy, and this is the HalfCaff podcast, where I talk about knitting and crochet and all my works in progress. We have some coffee together. Thanks for visiting. This is episode 6. I'm up at 6 in the morning to get hopefully a gorgeous light and some peace and quiet outside, just me and the birds. I love to do this in the summers. Last summer, I don't know if I told you this already, but last summer it was the pandemic, first summer full swing, right? And I came outside in the morning, early morning, and knit and crochet. Not simultaneously, I'm not that good yet, for hours. Because my kiddo was out of school and my work is very flexible since I work for myself, not doing knit or crochet, just for myself. As you probably know, because I told you before in the first episode, and of course you've watched the first episode, I'm on hiatus this year from my work. Nothing to do with the pandemic, at least nothing overtly. So that's why I started this podcast. Today's mug is an oldie. It is almost unrecognizable, probably only recognizable to me. Back in another lifetime, I used to work for a library services company. And we were one of the companies that basically put all your library card catalogs into digital form so that you can search for a book on the computer. Anyway, I got to convert a lot of cool special collections that had lots of old handwritten notes and amazing folios and really just fragile, cool stuff. We did the Pierpont Morgan Library, we did the Beinecke collection, and we did New York Historical Society. And I was the lead on that project, and so got to go to New York again a lifetime ago. So when I was young, and a friend of mine that worked there was also part of the project, so we got to hang out, and we were just two gals on the town. It was so cool. Anyway, I got this mug from the New York Historical Society in my previous life, and I neglected to look up what the picture is, so I'm going to put it right here because, as I said, it's unrecognizable now. But I remember what it used to look like, and I still love this mug. I call it my Saturday mug, but I'm not sure why. Anyway, so welcome. I'm excited to tell you all about my knit and crochet. Yes, I have some of both. So the first thing I have to show you, I actually already gave away. So I'll have to insert a picture. So this is called the Vintage Modern Shawl, and it's by Vicki Mikulak. Hope I'm saying that right. I used a yarn that I've been showing here and there that I was going to do for a cardigan, but that didn't happen. I used it here and other places instead. That's Fiber Optic yarns. They're cashmere base, which of course is 10% cashmere. And it's their ice colorway. It's, it's funny, when I think of ice, I think of kind of a pale blue, bluish white, but this is really vibrant blue and I love it. So one thing I really loved about this is they're concentric circles essentially, but the trim at the bottom is just super gorgeous, and the repeat is perfectly entertaining. I had it memorized by not even halfway through, and it made this shawl so fun to crochet. It's a crochet shawl. So I did it in less than 3 days. I was utterly monogamous on it, and that doesn't happen so often. So that is just how much fun it was. Anyway, so I got it done early. It's a gift for my friend for her birthday. So I got it done early and thrust it on her immediately because I wanted her to have it for a birthday date, and you know, if she wanted to, of course, and was just so excited to give it to her. So she loved it. She's sweet. She's the one that I foist a lot of my knits and crochets on because I need to give them to people. So I highly recommend that project. Super fun to crochet. Not too long. The shawl's not very big. But I imagine you could make it as big as you wanted if you just kind of thought about the repeat, which I think maybe is over 8 rows. I don't recall. It's a blur because it went so fast. I'd definitely make it again. And I'm fairly sure it was charted and written out. I usually don't do patterns that are completely charted because I have to brain just a smidge more than I than I want to. I don't really love geometry either. It doesn't make sense to me. So I think I'm just one of those people, which is really fantastic if you want to be a knitwear or crochet designer, because you wouldn't ever need to know or understand shapes and how they go together. Anyway, the rest of the things I do have to show you. So I'll take a minute to show because it's pretty big. So I'm just going to show you the yarn up close and some of the really pretty detail. So this is called the Trailing Ivy Shawl, which I guess, you know, makes sense. And it's by Alana Dakos, I think. The yarn is from Honey Girl Farms, who's having a birthday today, I think. So happy birthday. This is on her Sustainable Decay base. So it's a non-superwash, and it is called Learning from Elders. Even though I love, love, love variegated yarns, I usually go for gradients or tonals just because I never end up knowing what to do with the variegated yarns. The kind of things I like to make, I guess, just, I don't know, aren't well suited to variegated yarns. So except for socks, I really don't end up knowing what to make. But this was one of those that it screamed to me in the skein. And of course, then when I worked it up, I was like, it's really pretty, but what do I do with this? So I've had this kind of for a long time. I honestly don't really know that it's suited to this. I just decided to get over myself and just do it. I do think it's pretty. I think this would be better in a solid color or, you know, a tonal, like some pretty, you know, green, obviously, because of the ivy, but it's okay. I mean, I would make this one again. This is knit. And what about this one? It's got a picot edging, which I kind of like to do. And then, of course, I think it's 3 rows of, it must be more, of garter stitch to keep it from curling, I imagine. It's got garter stitch edge. I weirdly messed up on this one a lot. It's not hard at all, so I don't know what my problem was. Maybe that was the problem, is that I wasn't paying close enough attention. But I got like the wrong counts. It's like significantly smaller than it's supposed to be. Well, is it significantly? It's somewhat smaller than it's supposed to be because I was supposed to have, I think, more room. I was supposed to have more room between these triangles. So there's 3 of them, and 1 goes down the back, and 2 are supposed to fit so that they line up and fall over your shoulder, which is really pretty. I think the thing about that is that if you need larger sizes, that lineup's not going to happen. But this is really pretty. I don't think you can tell that I messed up, even when you're wearing it. The only place you really can tell, and I don't know what happened, is on the edging. I don't know if you can see that, but on the let's try that again. On the edging, I just decided to not bother right there, apparently. So there's the edging, and just, you know, for these several rows, I don't know what happened. Like I said, I think I was just daydreaming too much on this shawl. So there's kind of a bigger, it's folded up so it's not this short, but it is, you know, it's just like a capelet or a shawlette or whatever. It's not a huge thing. So, Trailing Ivy Shawl. I do recommend this one too. I did really enjoy it. I'd make it again. hopefully not screw up as much this time. But again, it's not because of the pattern. I think again, it's my daydreaming shawl that I should call it. So two more finished objects to show you. This is something that I've shown before, but it's just a different version. So I thought I would show it. And I just happened to finish it last night. So this is my Cuterus, or Uterus, my cute uterus. You get it. And I've showed a version, the happy version on my podcast, I think in episode 4 when I released the pattern. So this is just the grumpy version. It's just sort of an idea of what you can do with it. I'm getting more and more requests for the grumpy version these days. Poor ladies out there. Anyway, if you watched episode 4, you'll hear more about the pattern and why I did it and why I created it and all that kind of stuff. But essentially, so I won't repeat myself here. Go watch episode 4. But this pattern is available on Ravelry and Etsy at my shop, HalfCaffCrochet. There you have it. Okay, so the next thing I have to show you, this is my final finished object, and it's the one I'm most excited about and most proud of. I think I showed you the work in progress, which actually was basically the swatch, because I ended up restarting just to see what I liked. But anyway, I think I showed you the swatch and told you I might even write up the pattern, because I'm winging this. This is not from pattern. This is just made up. I think that was last episode. So now I'm ready to show it this episode. So let me tell you what it is first. This is the knitted grass backpack, fashioned after the object of the same name in a favorite game, Animal Crossing New Horizons. That is, New Horizons is the latest version of Animal Crossing. It's a game that's been going on for several years, in different incarnations. And this game it's a video game, just to be clear. This game kind of saved my family's sanity when lockdown started last year, because it came out, I want to say like mid to late March, mid-March. And that's just about when lockdown was starting for us, maybe really, really close to the same time for us here where I am. So it's one of the reasons is it's not just that it's a fun game to play and it helped us pass the time and that kind of thing. The particular mechanism that happens in the game, it's basically just like a little cute, create your little life game. It's sort of, you like simulate life, right? But you live on an island with a bunch of cute little animals that have their little houses, and you build your house and you harvest fruit and you plant gardens and, this kind of thing. So it's actually really cute and very soothing to play anyway. But the mechanism in the game is that basically it happens in real time. So if you're playing at 3:15 p.m. on a Saturday, you're playing at 3:15 p.m. on the same Saturday in the game. So the time passes that way. And so it kind of saved our sanity too, not just to give us something to do, but also kind of like, when working from home is like not quite figured out and, the kiddo's off of school and we're like, what is happening to our lives? It just helped us sort of remember what day it was, I guess. Anyway, in the game, you can get all sorts of cute little bags and clothing and cute little things. And they have this knitted grass backpack that I just adore and I wear all the time on my character. So, and I always thought, it looks like knit, of course. So I think I could try and make that, in real life. And so I did, using the dip stitch. Let's see if I can get the whole thing back here. Using the dip stitch, it's very, very dense because I stacked the dip stitches really kind of deep within each other. So it did take forever because there's so many on top of each other. But basically that's how you get these big columns of like big giant knit stitches. So the dip stitch is actually where you, basically pull up a big loop instead of making a nice tidy stitch. You pull up a big loop and then kind of lock that loop into place in a certain rhythm, so it makes this, you know, kind of going this way. And then if you do that in a certain pattern, so this is essentially in a pattern of 3x1. So there are underneath here, there are 3 actual stitches and 1 purl stitch that makes up the columns. And then the dip stitch is shaped on those 3 knit stitches that go all the way down to make them look like big fat stitches. Because if you don't leave any room between any of your, you know, dip stitch rows, you just kind of stack them up like I've been doing. You just get this whole panel looking. Now this is done. Let me tell you what yarn this is. This is Universal Yarns Uptown, and it's super bulky. It is an acrylic. It is, hi, yes, thank you. The crow loves it. It's an acrylic, and the color is bright lime. And I was just looking online for a super bulky yarn that was in the right color. These are really close to the right colors. This is a bit bright, and this is a little bit lighter. But essentially, these are the same colors that the backpack appears in. I did get kind of a backpack kit just off of Amazon, and I've never made one of those before. I will put a link to the kit I got down below in the doobly-doo if you want to try that yourself. So again, super bulky yarn. I think I used something like 56 stitches in that 3x1 rib, essentially. And down here, so I made it kind of open up a little bit. And when you put something in it, of course, it'll be just more kind of like fat. So it'll have this nice little sag at this little fluff at the end, but it's empty right now, of course. So I think I cast on with more stitches, but ended up with 56. So I probably cast on 60 something, 70 at most. Because I used really large needles. I can't remember if I used 10s, 11s, or 13s. So that's important. Anyway, I used a provisional cast on down here and then a 3 needle bind off so that the seam of the 3 needle bind off goes on the inside. So that makes it nice down here. I had to do a lot of, because the dip stitch, you know, in order to get it all the way to the top, I actually kind of had to fill in these gaps because these would have been long gaps. Here's where the actual stitches are. So I had to kind of go in with a needle and more of this yarn and kind of fill in all these gaps so that it would go all the way up. And then this is an I-cord edging bind off. So I worked the bag from the bottom up, decreased about here. And then of course I had to do the same thing, sort of fill in a gap that was here. So this whole thing is kind of me just imitating the dip stitch by just sewing it, a kind of a large whip stitch to make it a little bit more seamless appearing so that there wouldn't be, you know, kind of like regular stitches showing through as much. Anyway, here's the back. So the kit I got comes with these. The rings are already attached, so I just basically kind of whip stitch those on really tightly with the same yarn. So it comes with those. It comes with this piece, of course. It comes with this clasp. This is not authentic to the Animal Crossing thing. It's just got this big fat button. But of course, this is the real closure. So this is just decorative. So it closes and opens with this. Really, actually quite easy to figure out. Just 2 little nails. In order to attach the button, I did kind of puncture 2 little small holes so I could sew the button on. The button is crochet. The rest of it is knit. I am going to line it, but I didn't yet so that I could show you the inside. I think you definitely want to line this. Let's see if I can even show you the inside. Ready? Yeah, that's working. Anyway, the most important part I want to show you on the inside is the plastic canvas. So this is really thick, and you can give you a better look at it. So these stitches right here were where I stitched on this cover. So essentially what you need to do is just stitch this on wherever you want it so that it'll attach. But even though this is quite thick because it's super bulky yarn and it's really, really dense and squishy because there's a lot of layers going on here because the dip stitch pulls over the other layers and so it adds layers of yarn. It's still, I didn't want it to flop too much. And so it'd basically be able to, it would have to sort of take, it would have to give even tension in order to take the opening and closing of the bag without just kind of caving in on itself and being too floppy. So where I attached this, I cut out a piece of plastic canvas and I sewed it through the bag and through the canvas. And then this is actually double, so I went over it twice. And then just to give a little bit of reinforcement, I cut out 2 little circles of plastic canvas and put them inside the bag and then whip stitched this little ring on each side through the bag and through that plastic canvas again, to just give it kind of stability wherever the parts of the bag connected. So anyway, that's kind of why I'm like, can I write up this pattern? Because it's a little complex and a lot of the complexity was really just attaching the bag parts. So I'd probably want to do a tutorial or something like that if I was going to do that, or just leave that up to the person and just do the bag. Or, you know, even though this is really cute like this and is more authentic to what the bag actually looks like in Animal Crossing, I'm thinking that giving an option for also making it fully knit or something where you could actually make it out of yarn, and if you didn't want to purchase the bag parts. So something to think about. I don't know. Do you think I should make up the pattern? Please let me know if you really think I should. In the meantime, I have one and I love it. And now I'm going to sew the lining. So I'll probably show you what the lining looks like after I finish it. Maybe on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, I'll probably post a picture or a story up there. So knitted grass backpack from Animal Crossing. Love it so much. That's why this episode is called Dippity Doodah, because hello dip stitches. But I've also got another work in progress with dip stitches to show you. So that's coming up. The first work in progress I want to show you, I haven't shown you since episode 3, maybe. And that is partly because I delayed working on it. I kind of got to a part that I felt a little overwhelmed by. From episode 2 or 3, you may have, if you watch that, you may remember that I was making a kind of a cami. I kept calling it a vest, but a kind of a cami for my mother, patterned after one that she had that didn't fit anymore and kind of had some staining and things like that. So I was really excited because I figured out how to do the stitch, and that was fun. And so I have essentially, except for the bodice, I have done the bodice as well, but I'm not sure it'll fit. So I've stalled for now, but I'm very close to finishing. I just need to make sure the bodice is correct and then finish it and do the straps. But here it is, and it's, it's quite large, so. So obviously, like, no ends are woven in and, it's not blocked or anything like that. So I'm holding it up by the bodice. But you see, I don't know if that's gonna fly. So I'll just show you, especially the bottom part, which is really pretty. I did complete the edging. And that little, it's kind of a couple of rows, but it does have a picot edging, but also a couple rows of decorative stitch before that as well. And then, of course, you can see this stitch. This is all crochet, and this is basically triple crochets, kind of cabled, essentially. You don't use a needle, a cable needle for crochet cables. You just basically cross over the stitches, and because there's no live stitches, the live stitch is literally the only one on your hook. Everything else is kind of secured. So you don't need a needle to do that. You just need to put your stitches, cross over where you want and then cross back, and you're good. So cabling's pretty pretty easy in crochet, and I like that. So this is coming along nicely. I think I still need to do the side seams. I still need to split down here because I accidentally, there's supposed to be a split hem, but I accidentally made a whole complete piece. So I just need to like cut that and secure it, like, again, the world's tiniest steak, essentially. And then just make sure the bodice is correct and fit the, and do the the straps. So kind of a lot to still do on this, but so much done. It's a large garment, and the cables take a while. And the yarn is, let me tell you what the yarn is. It is Cascade Heritage Solid. It's fingering weight. So again, that takes quite a while. The color is 5682, white. Okay, the next thing I want to show you, I'm going to save my kind of favorite for last. So I'll show you the second of three. This is living in a bag. I don't remember who I got this from because it was at a local fair here called Morning Market, MOURN. And so they have just like, it's a fair I've participated in. It's a fair that I've visited a lot. They always have really cool, like, dead creepy goth stuff. So the woman I got this from sewed this bag, and I adore it. It's one of my very earliest knitting and crochet bags. It's basically a tote, you know, but this project is kind of large, so it is living in here. This is called the Chatsworth Cable Poncho, and it's a free pattern from Lion Brand Yarns, and so of course it calls for Vanna's Choice, which is a Lion Brand yarn, in the colors Oatmeal, and I'm using Barley. I think they do Oatmeal and there's some gray color. So I wanted to do more in brown tones, so I used Barley and Oatmeal. So this is using their yarn, using their pattern, and as I said, this is called the Chatsworth Cable Poncho. I can't even show you all of it because it's so huge. I'll put a picture in here of what it's supposed to look like. So, as you can imagine, this project takes forever. It's basically like a blanket. And it's something I've been working on for a really long time. It kind of uses large needles. Let me see. Well, US 10. So yeah, kind of large. And it's just thick, as you can see on, I'll throw it up again. On one side, it's just like straight ribbing, and on the other side, it's cabling. So I've finished the straight ribbing part, and now I'm working on the cable part. And basically, the poncho goes from the bottom up and then over your shoulder and around. So when you get to basically the middle, you have to make the space for the head opening, obviously. To be honest, I'd heard a lot of complaints about how the head opening was done, and because it's like a turtleneck, so it's not just like leaving a gap, you actually have to do some finishing and some knitting there. I did find it a little bit confusing, but actually I realized that this yarn, even after I wash it, will probably be fairly bulky and fairly stiff, and I'm not sure it's going to look so good as a poncho. I think it'll just kind of look like a beast. So I ended up, so my working title for this, let me just show you actually. My working title for this was the Honkin Poncho. So here's the rows and rows of cable. It's really neat. It's very dense and poofy. Here's the back. So, for some reason, I pulled this out again, and started working on it again. It's kind of one of those that I'm not in a rush to get done because, again, it's really huge. And because I'm not sure, I've pretty much decided I'm not going to make it a poncho. So I just sort of ignored the turtleneck opening thing, and I'm just going to keep going until it's as long as the other portion I've done, which is the knit rib portion, and then I'll sew them together, and instead of a honkin poncho, it'll be a honkin lap blanket. And I think it'll be kind of interesting and definitely warm and cozy, especially after a wash, so that the yarn will soften up. It's funny because actually I've been calling it the Honkin Poncho, as I said, but I was talking to my husband a while back, and I said, I'm going to be working on this till I'm dead, because it's taking so long, and the cabling takes a long time. I told him that I'd be working on this until I was dead, and he's like, great, it's your death shroud, and then you can just cover yourself up when you're done. So now it's my death shroud. The last work in progress I want to show you is something up until I started working on that Cuterus, because I usually have orders for them, so I usually have to stop and do a uterus now and then, as one does. I was working on this pretty monogamously up until then, and then until I pulled my death shroud out. But this is, let me get it ready for you because it's worked inside out. So I want to turn it right side around to see it, so you can see it. This is a pattern that many of you are probably familiar with, and there's different versions of it as far as like different yarns and short sleeve, long sleeve, and that kind of thing. But this is the Summer Sorel. This is done with, surprise, dip stitches. And I'm doing, so there's the Sorel sweater. This is by, let me do that part, Voolenvine. And the yarn I'm using is Voolenvine yarns. It is a fingering weight. It's on her Nouveau base. It's called Dead Calm. And it's basically like this deep, deep turquoise color. So I love it. I shared actually that yarn that I got that acquisition in like the 3rd episode. So I'm actually using it just a few months later. Not too bad. Anyway, the beginning of this, it's got an I-cord cast on, so that takes forever. And I thought about not doing that, but I just went ahead and did it because I think that it would look nice, and there's a reason they did that, and of course it does. So it did take a little bit of a while. There are short rows in the back, and the short rows involve dip stitches. That's not too bad either, but so it's starting it takes a little bit of concentration. So I'm doing size 6, and even at that size, there's like over 400 stitches on the needle before you separate for the sleeves. So whew, that was taking a while, especially as I got to the bottom, and there's a lot of stitches in between each of the dip stitch columns, which of course is what makes that great pattern. You can see kind of like some tension ripples in there that I'm pretty sure will block out just fine. But that's kind of happening. So now I am on, as they say, Body Island, which is pretty great. It's worked inside out, which is cool, so that you don't have to do all that purling. So obviously you can see that in order to make the dip stitches stand out, you knit the dip stitches, but everything else is purling and the rest of the body is purling. That's actually something that made me hesitate in doing the pattern at all. Not because it's not lovely, but just because I'm not so sure I like the purl side out, because it sort of looks like, it just always looks like it's inside out to me. and I'm not sure I can get over that, but I really wanted to make it, so I just decided I would go for it. So this is how it's worked. And so you get to do after you do the bodice, when you do the yoke, who am I? You work it inside out, so you can just do stockinette. So that's fantastic. And after I get off Body Island, I'll be in Sleeve City, as apparently I called it the other day, and my husband thought that was so funny. So I guess that's a thing. Is that a thing? It is now. The sleeves are short sleeved, so I won't have very far to go. So it'll really just be getting through Body Island. And I'd say I'm halfway through the sweater. as far as the length. That's my main project, and then I just kind of take breaks with other things. Sometimes if my, you know, I don't know, my hands or arms are sore or something, I will switch from knit to crochet. And so that's kind of something that I do. And again, I have like little orders for my Etsy shop that I need to do. So that kind of breaks up the project, but that's basically the one I've been working on. So I am hoping to wear it for a visit from my in-laws, have that done so that I can wear it during that visit, where we will be all vaccinated and all good to go. I can't believe that that's happening. I know that's a controversial issue, but I'm excited, and so I'm hoping to wear that by then. Hopefully by the next time I podcast, I will be able to wear it for you. Okay, I do have one more thing, and that is an acquisition. So excuse the crinkle. I am going to take this out of the package, but I'll show you first. This is an acquisition, a kit, essentially, from Voolenvine yarns. So she tends to not do kits just because they're very stressful for her. I'm crinkling because I'm opening this package so that you can see all the pretty yarns. But she's been working on, what's that shawl she was working on? You should watch Voolenvine yarns so that she can tell you what shawl she was working on. It is escaping my mind. But anyway, it's a brioche shawl. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to make the shawl. It is really pretty though. And I haven't tried brioche before. And it's kind of one of those things on my list. I've learned about it, but so I kind of know the gist of it, but I haven't tried it yet. But the shawl is really pretty. And I am an absolute sucker for like deep reds, especially on the kind of like the more rust side, the brown reds. And so this is a kit that she did out of the colors that she did for her shawl. And I just love them. So even if I don't do the shawl, even if I don't use these together, although why would you not? I had to have. So these are on her footsie base. This is Blood Moon. This is History Bound. And this is Rosewater. And of course they're a kit, so they go perfectly together. So this is 80/20 blue-faced Leicester and nylon. 2-ply fingering weight. 400 yards each. So this is 1,200 yards together. Gorgeous. So I can't wait to use these on whatever I use it for. I haven't been a shawl person, but after I did the, what was it called? The vintage modern shawl, and loved that so much. And then right after that, I decided to do the trailing ivy shawl. Hey, from memory, check it out. I might be a shawl person because I make a lot of stuff, so it's not always for me. But like I think if I do that brioche shawl, that might be for me. Because these are definitely some of my colors together. So deep greens and blues, forest greens, and like deep rich turquoise blues, and purple blacks and brown reds. Those are my jam. One last thing I want to share with you guys. And that is, there is a pattern coming out that's being tested right now. I came across it. I'm following it obsessively. It's like one of those things that you really, really want to make. And so I cannot wait till the pattern is out. I think it's in June. I'm not real sure. It'll happen when it happens, when the testers are done and yada, yada, right? But it is called, I'll put the little hashtag here. It's the Dingley Dell Tea. It is my jam, y'all. It is like a perfect V-neck, short sleeve, really, I think it's a fingering weight yarn. Although I saw one in lace weight that somebody did. Some people have made it long sleeve, but anyway, I love a V-neck look, and everyone is doing like kind of these big fat stripes. When I first saw it, I've been looking at it on Instagram, and it was in a black and a dark gray stripe. And those, forget all the colors that I just said, dark gray and black together, love. So this is like basically everything I love in one t-shirt, and I cannot wait to make it. So I'm just following along. But if you look up that hashtag on Instagram, DingleyDelT, you'll see all kinds of different versions and colors that people are making, and they're all spectacular. And this seems like it'll be a really cool pattern because it looks like some people have changed up like the width of the stripes. You can do a lot of different things with like the color and the color patterning and stuff. I've seen one that I really love that's like a dark green and a lighter green striped together, and that monochromatic look I love. Not just in gray, but in any hue. So I think that's all I have to show you, and hopefully it was worth the wait and you enjoyed it. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you soon. Bye.